hugs, just a reminder before you get into the show that we have merchandise, yes, and you can find it on our Ugly Truth website. There's a little tab, you can click on it, and then you can peruse to see all of our styles. You can grab a mug or a sticker. We have hoodies and t-shirts, pretty much anything you would want to show your pride for being an Ugly Truth listener. Thank you so much for supporting us. Enjoy the show. Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is episode 556.
Woo!
Ugh. You don't need to back up, I don't think.
Well, I don't want to be too deep in the mics.
You might accidentally seduce a bunch of people.
Amazing radio voice.
Oh, God. Okay.
Welcome to the new studio.
Yes, welcome to The Ugly Truth. I am Jamie. Subbing in for my sister Stephanie today is producer Deb. Welcome, everyone. Producer Deb.
Thanks.
Yeah, so the show's a good 2 days late.
Yeah.
We have a lot of reasons why. Hey, you have a cough button now. You can just hit the cough button.
Hold on. There we go.
So several news-related things going on in our lives that have caused the delay.
Yeah.
Some are bad, some are good.
Yeah.
Bad news.
Bad news.
We all got COVID.
We did.
We all got COVID. Actually.
Did we all get the Omni?
We all got the Omnicron. We got the poorly named Megatron.
No way. It sounds like a Transformer. It's the best one.
Yeah.
I'll take Transformer over beer.
True. So, New Year's Eve, we had a family. My niece came over. Yeah. My daughter had a couple of friends over, and that was it. Everybody was negative. Everything was great. 3 days later, I got sick.
Yep.
And then 5 days later, you got sick. And then my niece got sick. We think she got it from her school. But in return, she got everybody in her house sick.
We've been so careful, too.
Oh, my God. We've been so fastidious.
We never go anywhere.
No. And Matt, I mean, we do all the things. We have
all the shots. We wear our masks.
Omicron is insidious. Then my sister, Stephanie, her son got sick.
Yeah.
Stephanie never got sick.
Oh, she didn't?
She never got it. She tested negative 2 or 3 times. Oh. They still made her stay home because she was obviously exposed, and they were like, you're going to get sick. She never got it. But for the sake of everyone's health, sure. And plus, I mean, we're 10 days today,
yeah,
and we're still not 100%.
No.
I mean, I feel good, but I don't feel perfect.
And I'm
accustomed to feeling perfect.
I would say there was one day where I probably felt about 75%.
Yeah.
Every other day was above that. So it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was any worse than any terrible cold, except it's kind of lingering and annoying. But
apparently from the fact that we are thrice vaccinated, we were to expect a very bad cold, which is exactly what we got. A very bad cold. Yeah. The only thing that's making me realize that it's not a very bad cold is the fact that we still are not 100% in our energy, stamina, whatever. But
I never had like the 100+ flu fever for 2 day kind of thing at all. So
no, we just had really bad colds. In fact, I think I had a low grade fever one day. Yeah,
the rest was just cough and stuffy.
Yeah. So mild in the sense of we were never in danger of going to the hospital or all that stuff. But nobody could record. Nobody felt up to it. Mm-hmm. And so we just had to wait. And so now we're here. And in that time, because we had so much downtime, we purchased new mics. We got some new equipment. We upgraded some stuff. We're actually no longer in the main bedroom of the home. We're actually in an actual room that is dedicated to the podcast.
With a bed.
With a bed and a cat.
With a casting bed.
Yeah, there's a casting bed in here. It's true. So if you interview, be prepared. There are some prices to pay.
Oh, God. It was nice to take advantage of it. We've been sitting on this equipment, and then we needed some mics, and we wanted to and it was just a good time to just, you know what, screw it.
Yes.
I mean, we've only been doing this, 9, almost 10 years or whatever now.
We finally decided to indulge.
We got rid of enough children to have a room to actually do this in.
Stick around like a STD.
This should be maybe this will be the room for activity studio.
Maybe. With that being said, COVID is not to be trifled with. However, your brain still works pretty good. Like you're not foggy, or I mean, ours, we weren't. And so like 3 days in, I'm like, we haven't had sex in like 4 days. And you're like, yeah, well, you're very ill. And I said, yeah, I know, but I feel like it's something my body's saying you need to have sex, even though I know I'm sick. It's saying, hey, I mean, no, there was no kissing. There was no nothing. And I'm like, what does it matter?
Yeah. I got to a point
where. You're
going
to get it.
Yeah. You were like, kind of staying away-ish, and I was like kissing you on your cheek, or that was like the most of it.
I was offended.
And then at some point I'm just like, I'm gonna get it.
You're gonna get it.
It's gonna happen. So we went back to kissing.
And then like a day later you got sick.
Yeah.
But
small price to pay.
I was not kidding. I was like, we can do it the Mormon sex way. We can get a sheet. I can wear special underwear if you want. I can wear a mask and we can get kinky and you can pretend I'm somebody else. I'll turn over if you want. I'll put my face in a pillow. What do you want to do? Because I feel like we need to do it. And you're like, what are you saying? Why are you saying these things?
Cancer sex.
Yeah, do you want to have sex like if I have cancer and we'll just do it like really normal? Like we won't do anything extra? And your face, although eventually...
You're making me laugh. I'm coughing.
Constant barrage, you finally were like, I guess, so you're serious? And so then when you finally decided, okay, fine, let's go ahead and have maritals. Because everyone loves to hear about married people having sex. It's like their favorite thing.
Most exciting.
It's not even the most popular porn channel. I don't think anybody wants to hear or see it. But finally, and it was so boring. But it happened. We did it.
But we did it again.
Later that evening.
And
celebrating.
That wasn't boring.
Because we were celebrating the Raiders winning and going into the playoffs.
That was so great.
But yeah, so thankfully we recovered and hopefully our sex life will bounce back from that horrific experiment.
COVID sex
is no bueno.
No bueno.
No, I don't recommend. 0 stars. No,
well,
I'd say 2 stars.
No, it's not 0 stars because 0 stars is no sex. But it had to happen.
It was like brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
It's something that you just need to get done. And it's like, it wasn't a chore, but it was like, look, we have to brush our teeth every day. We have to floss or things don't go well. Married people have to have sex or things start falling apart. You got to do it.
True.
How many times, I kid you not, how many couples have asked us? I don't know what word I just said. How many couples have asked?
Did you access?
Asked us.
You access a question?
I did not say that. Tell us, Jamie, Daryl, what is the secret to a long, happy marriage?
Sex, baby.
And every single time. And I don't want to say it, but I'm like, well, it's sex.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the sex.
Of course.
You have to build up to it. There's a lot of communication involved. Like it's all the things. And so they get this face and the husband usually goes, well, I'm available.
Well, I know this happens all the time, but it's like you'll be reading a story or somebody will say something on TikTok or whatever. And every time somebody mentions something like, yeah, we probably had sex once a month or it's been like 3 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, that's your problem.
I mean, the thing is, if it is 3 weeks, someone better be really, really sick. Mm-hmm. Or something.
Yeah, I mean, there can be extenuating circumstances, but
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about regular old we're 100%. Together, just living our lives.
Yep.
I can't imagine. It's sex, you guys. And so no longer will mommy and daddy are done talking about it. There will be no more.
We probably should have put the disclaimer of our children should not listen to this episode.
They don't.
Yes.
I asked Tyler, I'm like, hey, Tyler, have you listened to the latest episode? He goes, yeah, you know what, Mom, I just can't hear my mom talking like that anymore. It's just really hard for me. I'm like, it's hard for you to hear that your mom is a woman and a normal human being, like a teacher.
Yeah.
Like when you see a teacher out in the wild, you're like, oh, you eat food.
You shop at the grocery store?
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
No, there are very few families. I don't care how progressive and open you are with your conversations. They don't want to hear about your sex life. And that's fair. So they don't listen. Although Stephanie's a little more reserved when it comes to things like that. Sure. So I don't know.
Not because of her children, though.
No, she's not like Paula.
No. Yeah, where she shares everything.
Very free. Very free. And that's okay.
So we talked about when Olivia was here, our niece was here for New Year's Eve on the COVID side of things.
Oh, yes.
But what was more interesting to me when she was here was just you forget how grown up she's getting.
I know.
But then even though she's older, like some of the things she's saying, I'm like, what adult are you spying on? Because those aren't phrases that your age says in that way. You know what I mean? They're like somebody, and I could be wrong. I shouldn't underestimate her.
You shouldn't. She's very smart.
No, yeah, and that's no question at all. But I was like, maybe I'd just been out of practice. Maybe our kids said that kind of stuff at that time too. But it just felt very like I was having an adult conversation with a mini
sometimes
person.
you know, especially with nieces and stuff, you age them, and that's the age they are.
Right. Fair.
Can't tell you how many times they say, how old's your youngest? I'm like, oh, she's going to be 22 this year. And they're like, what? They're like, she was 7.
Yeah.
And she'll forever be 7. And I'm like, no, she will not.
No, she will not.
She will not.
Well, and I think too, old. When you don't see a niece or nephew, you don't obviously see them as much. And so it can feel not that long to you, but it's been a lifetime, right? So
okay, I have a really gross question to ask you, completely changing the subject. Just speaking of puberty and 12 to 13-year-old kids. I know you're not going to answer it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I was listening to a podcast. They're incredibly open about things like this. And it made me wonder, when you first started masturbating as a child, did you...
Stand by. Anybody that works for my work, you can stop listening now. The sex stuff, I was okay. Hit that little fast forward.
You don't have to answer.
Fast forward right now.
Let's do this a little more generically.
Okay.
Let me put it this way.
So not me personally.
No, not you personally.
Okay.
In general terms, when do you think boys specifically, when they are discovering and now enjoy the act of masturbating as kids, especially when you're hitting puberty and now everything, you know, do they use just their hand, and when do they start using a sock or a tissue or a shirt or something? You know what I'm saying?
Why are the two mutually exclusive?
Well, when you first do it, I would imagine you didn't expect that was going to occur. So you've got it in your hand. You're like,
I'm no doctor, but it's far more likely that they had wet dreams or something like that first, and then immediately started using something like something, right? Like
I know somebody who said that they use their hand for a minute.
You always do.
No, to catch.
Oh.
To catch the excess.
I guess.
And then you just like wash it off? Or children? Boys, young teenage boys would do this. I know it seems inappropriate to even think about it, but I'm just wondering at what point do you start going, I should probably get a sock or a
here's
towel.
the thing. Well, but here's the thing though, is that those are all after effect. You're still using your hand or you're still using whatever.
I know
and that's just having something handy.
I meant catching it.
Catching
it.
Yeah,
I don't mean I know you use your hand. Just
I don't know. I know. I don't know.
The reason it came up is I was listening and their mother-in-law is staying with them.
She found 42 stiff socks on the side of the bed.
No, she was in the kitchen and her mother-in-law was having coffee and she blew her nose in her hand and then rinsed it off.
Okay.
It's disgusting.
In
a million years, I would never do it. And the fact that a woman did it, I just can't even believe it. But this woman specifically, not surprising.
I mean, I suppose if you because I would have used my elbow or something.
The mother-in-law, she's like, that is disgusting. How can you do that? Does your husband know you do that?
So like
you
she
are not
did
a
it
lady.
Like, she did it like that's how she does it.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Gross. And then she questioned her husband. She goes, she thought that was disgusting. I've done it my whole life. I never thought anything. I'm like, what are you, some kind of animal? Were you raising wolves? But and maybe she was. Who knows? But then she said, well, what about, when you masturbate, don't you catch it with your hand? And he's like, absolutely no. She's like, well, when did you stop doing it? He goes, when did I stop doing it? He goes, what, if I'm 12? But after that, you use a cloth.
Immediately, yeah.
So I was just wondering if that was it. Is there a revelation where you go, this is probably not the best way to deal with this, and I need a piece of paper?
I don't think at any point in your life you do that more than once or twice.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering.
I mean, I think once you know what you're going to do.
The idea of using your skin for any kind of bodily function that really should require a tissue seems absolutely Neanderthal-like. I don't even know why. I don't know why it should matter that it's even grosser if it's a girl, but it does. I don't know why. Something I would never do.
Right.
That's for sure. Anyway. Yeah. So speaking of the Raiders.
Switching topics.
What I would love is, I mean, now a lot has transpired since they won the playoffs. Now we've watched them lose to the Bengals.
Yep.
We will never know, should we have had actual decent officiating.
Oh my God.
What the outcome would have likely been. It could have been the same. We don't know.
Yeah.
But the reality is because whenever it happens to the Raiders, it becomes something that is discussed in the annals of football for the time indefinite.
Rule changes. Do you know how many rule changes happen in the NFL because of things that happened to the Raiders?
I'm sure
in the
it's
playoffs?
more than 2.
The tuck rule is one. One they actually benefited from. There was a playoff game where somebody fumbled, and then the Raiders literally kicked it, and it went forward and forward and forward, and then somebody ultimately fell in the end zone.
I remember that.
Now you can't do that. It goes back to the... So it seems like there's always something.
Well, the Raiders seem to always find the loophole. They always have, which is fine. But this one specifically, we've been punished. I'm convinced that there is a piece of paper somewhere in a safe in the back room of the NFL headquarters saying, when in doubt, never let the Raiders get the advantage. Never, ever, because they hate Al Davis so much that it's like the mafia.
Yeah, it's been Raiders
it's like
versus
the mafia
the NFL for a while.
Forever, if your great-grandfather did something to disrespect the mob, no one will survive it. Even your great-great-great-grandchildren, they will forever punish your family. And I feel like that's the same with the Raiders.
Right.
My point is that the Bengals game, I don't think there was going to be anybody who left that game happy with the errant whistle, because had they actually, followed the rules and then the whistle would have made the ball dead and the touchdown would not have counted.
Yeah, they may have scored on the next play, but
they might, but we don't know now.
That's exactly right. It's not the point. The point.
And for some reason, I don't.
I blew the whistle. We stopped playing.
Everyone did,
and therefore, the guy caught the ball.
No one was going to be happy at the end of that game, and it's funny because reporters are asking the officiate, the vice president of officiating, whatever, and he's like, dancing around it. And they're like, what's done is done or whatever. Yeah, Not even acknowledging that they didn't adhere to the NFL rule. And what makes me mad is it was the head officiant, and that rule book is like his Bible. There's no excuse.
He basically lied. He basically tried to, first of all, they tried to deny that it was even a thing. And then when they ultimately did it, they said, well, it was after the whistle was after the catch anyway. Mm-hmm. Also not true.
Lies. We all have ears.
We saw it. You saw him and heard him blow the whistle while the ball was in the air. And he had basically whistled as though
even the crowd.
Burrows was going out of bounds. He hadn't technically gone out of bounds. It was the right play. But the fact is that everybody stopped because they heard a whistle. Even in that split millisecond.
Even the crowd wasn't cheering.
100%.
Nobody.
The guy didn't even celebrate his touchdown because he wasn't sure that he got one.
That's right.
Right.
So, and so the fact that
like as if there was a penalty or something.
So it was like, we're going to give it to him. And I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what is this? Oh, it was outrageous.
Outrageous. Anyway, everybody's going to say, oh, you're bitter Raider fans, but you guys don't understand how often this happens.
It happens all the time.
Like, I know everybody thinks this happens to their fans. It doesn't. Like, there's mathematical, empirical data proving that this happens.
It is. It's actually laughable, because there were definitely some fools that fucked up our game penalty wise. Like Leatherwood is absolutely a nightmare. I mean, there were other reasons why we didn't win, I'm sure, but that did 100%. Not handing them 6 points didn't help anybody.
Of course.
And that's kind of my point.
Right.
But now it's effective today on Betty White's birthday, actually.
Yeah, we're recording and dropping the episode on Betty White. What would have been.
Yes, of course.
Betty
Posthumously
White's
celebrating.
100.
They have already let Mayock go. Coach Mayock is gone.
Not a coach. General manager.
Okay.
Yeah. He's like head of everything.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of the two.
No,
anyway. Oh, you know what? Then I probably should delete that tweet.
Did you say Coach Mayock?
I said, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, he's not a coach.
Yeah.
Never did coach, I don't think.
The GM. I don't know.
Yeah. He may have coached.
Sometimes I'm actually right because I doubt my knowledge, and then I'm like, no, he was a coach, asshole. Don't be making me doubt myself. But anyway, yeah. So it'll be interesting. Apparently, this is Derek Carr's last season, I believe.
Contract.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with that.
They'll give him a new contract.
I hope at least one more season.
No, they'll give him a new contract. Either that or he'll just play it out and he'll be done.
Yeah.
So I mean, never say never, but he doesn't.
We don't really have anybody.
He's made it pretty clear he doesn't want to play anywhere else. we're not going to get anybody in the draft. Mariota's old too.
Oh yeah.
So
God, you know what? And every time we're struggling, Mariota starts trending on Twitter, and I'm like, really?
Well,
Really?
he's got more haters than ever. I read you see all these stats of pro and con Derek Carr, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think the one that I saw today was what quarterback has the most victories when you're a 5-point underdog or more?
Derek Carr.
By far. 14. Mm-hmm. 14 wins when the team was a 5+ point underdog.
I think
the next one was like Tannehill at 8.
I think the other thing is, and I don't know how, I am not obviously a diehard, like I don't know everything about everything in NFL history.
No one does,
but it seems to me Derek Carr is incredibly good. He's very, very good. But he's also being compared to some of the legendary players who are still playing. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, all these guys, these are
up there too.
Once in a lifetime players.
Right.
And yet, he's not iconic. He's not a legend. And I'm like, well, because there's only like 2.
Yeah. And
can't, it's not fair to compare him to someone like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, who are literally once in a lifetime. They're heritage players. They will forever be immortalized.
They're first ballot Hall of Famers for sure. Yep. The other stat that I think, if you're not a Raiders fan, you don't know, but in the 8 years or whatever he's played, the Raiders defense has never ranked better than 25th. And in most cases, they're 30th, 29th, 30th.
They were kind of better this year, though.
Yeah, but they're still in the bottom half of the league as a defense. And so when you're getting shocked on the defensive side all the time,
I thought they were much improved this season, but 100%. You're right.
They definitely, we definitely got some, Mayock did some good job. Good jobs with those players.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm looking forward to going to a game in Vegas. That is something I'd like to do next season for sure. But I don't want to sit in the heaven. I want to be in a good seat. Yeah. I don't know how we're going to do that because they're so incredibly overpriced. Save up. Get our little piggy bank and
actually what sucks is the flights.
Yeah.
Because when you want to fly into a game,
there's no easy
if there's
route.
Like right now, if you wanted to fly to Vegas from Sacramento, it's probably like $99. But if you want to go on the weekend of a game,
$400.
It's like $400.
It's insane. I mean, that's cheap, but it's freaking Vegas.
Almost drive there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like drive to LA or go to LA, fly into LA.
Right.
And then rent, get a driver to drive you the 3 hours. We could do that.
Well, I mean, if you, it's...
You don't need a car once
I do remember when I was in Vegas for work, I don't even think they had broke ground on the stadium yet, but it had been announced that they were moving. And I was in a cab, and it must have just happened because I told the guy I was from the Bay Area, and he goes, "What do you think about the Raiders coming here?" And I said, "Yeah, it kind of sucks because it's like, I like going to games. I like them being in Oakland. I'm from the East Bay. That's, my thing." And I said, and he goes, "Wait a minute." And I go, "And it's such an effort to come out here to Vegas and blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Wait a minute. You're in Sacramento?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You could fly here in less time that it takes to drive to Oakland and go to a game." And he's not wrong, but anyway.
It's true. Well,
and that stadium's supposed to be amazing. So
I want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't feel like home necessarily, but I am, I mean, that's where they play. So I do want to go check it out. Or we can just go to their second home. And when they play the Chargers, we can just go to,
oh God.
Go to LA.
That was hilarious.
Anyway, it was funny. Okay. So when I was in my throes,
so that's more sports talk than you'll ever get on this show.
Well, that's
normally
true.
Speaking.
You're not wrong. So I was, when I was really sick, and I was watching something. Oh, you know what? Everybody's doing this 10-year challenge on social media. This was a while ago where they post a picture from 10 years ago and then a current photo, and you can see the significant difference in age or whatever like that. Uh-huh. And I don't participate in a lot of social media stuff like that. But when there was the no makeup challenge, I'm like, never in a million fucking years. Are you insane? I go to bed with makeup on if I look like bad. And I read a story about Dolly Parton today that she actually goes to bed with her makeup on in case there's an emergency in the middle of the night. She doesn't want people to see her without her makeup on.
Sounds very Dolly Parton.
What?
What about her wig too? Like,
I don't know.
That you can probably just throw on. Makeup you can't just throw on.
She said once, they're like, how long does it take for you to do your hair? She goes, well, I don't know. I don't
do it. I don't do it.
I'm not wearing it when they're doing it. But, and I love that so much.
You don't care.
No. But she said that, and I go, there have been times where I look really, really bad before I go to bed at night. Like I've had a long day, or maybe I'm a little dehydrated, or, whatever. And it's so bad that I have to put makeup on. And I've been doing this.
You put makeup on to go to bed?
I've been doing this since I was living on my own, even when I was like younger and just living by myself. I'm like, holy shit, Jamie, you look bad. And I'll put on I put on a little blush. I put on a little, just like a whip of mascara, because I'm like, I can't look this ugly. I just can't look this ugly. I mean, just so pale. And so I was looking at some pictures, how memories pop up on social media. And I was looking at
one today.
A picture from something we took a photo together. I don't know, 2018, 2019. It was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic. And then I looked at the photo that we took on New Year's Eve this year. And I'm like, holy shit, we've aged so much in 2 years. It's insane.
I think everybody has.
And then I go down this deep, dark rabbit hole, and I start looking up pictures of small children in the 1800s who had to work in the coal mines, and how they look like little old people with tiny bodies because the stress of having to work as little ones. No childhood. They just literally were in the mines. Heave ho, and it's like, now I understand why our grandparents looked the way they did.
Yeah.
The stress of living through 3 wars, really, if you count Vietnam. And before that, child labor laws didn't exist.
Child labor
Those
laws.
photos of those small people, they look like small people, not children. The stress will absolutely age you.
Yeah.
And I really thought I was doing well. Like, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to take this in stride. I upped my Botox. I'm drinking lots of water, worked out, lost weight. I even lost weight this year. And so I'm like, no, sorry. No, the eyes have deadened.
Deadened. Wow.
I've seen some things. We've experienced some shit.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the lucky ones. There are people that had it far worse than I did. And I'm like, God damn. There's not enough filler in the world that can keep you from the stress of this pandemic. Crazy.
My memory was my Facebook memory, or I think it was Facebook. It must have been if it was 9 years ago. It was just a picture of my face. That was it. Mm. But I recall it being the first picture I took after I shaved my mustache.
Oh, I remember that.
So I think it's been 9 years. Because I didn't even comment on it. I just posted the picture. Mm-hmm. But I can't remember if it's been longer than that. And maybe I just used... But
I don't remember.
The only time I posted that picture, and then it had all the comments. Like, oh my God.
God, I was so glad you did it.
I was glad I did it.
I was so relieved.
I did it for the opposite reason that I had it in the first place.
Yeah, I was
trying to look older.
Yes.
And then once I actually was old, I wanted to look younger.
Yes. And this is not anything, but you were working in the city and gentlemen found you attractive with the mustache.
Yeah.
And you're like, do I look homosexual? And I said, no. Why? He goes, well, I got a compliment from a barista saying that I had a nice mustache. And I said, oh, well, I would take that as a compliment, first of all, if I were you. And he goes, well, I'm not offended, but I don't want to be giving off the wrong vibe.
Right.
And you immediately shaved it.
I did.
And that's fine. I like facial hair. It's not like I'm opposed to it, but you look so much better without, personally. I think you always have, though. I've hated everything you've ever done with your face, facial hair wise. Facial hair.
I've hated everything you've ever done with your face.
I don't mind the vacation.
You hear that
beard.
podcast, Kat? That's some bullshit.
I don't mind the 5 o'clock shadow.
I'm offended.
Vacation beard that you do, like, that's fine.
All right.
Like, that looks nice and scruffy.
Yeah.
But in general, you look better hairless. It's the way you like me too, so I don't know why you're even complaining.
Yes, I prefer you not to have facial hair. That is accurate.
Hey, dermaplaning's a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah. And now I've never used your razor to shave my face, but I would if I had to.
We have that vibrating razor now.
I don't use it.
I know. You didn't even know you bought it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't. No.
I was like, why did you buy a vibrating razor?
It didn't even occur to me. How do you know it's vibrating?
Because it's huge. It has a battery in it. You can see it. The handle's massive.
I never even noticed.
I mean, it's not English cucumber massive.
Sorry. No, I
big for a razor.
Never even noticed. Oh, okay. So I found this thing, and it's one of those stupid internet articles.
Oh.
But it's by fastcompany.com.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I've heard of it.
Sure.
Anyways, so there's something called word trash. And these are words that people use. They're kind of like the new vocal crutches. These are the new verbal crutches for people in business. And I'm only reading them to you because I've heard you and myself use these words. The first one is touch base offline, or let's take this offline.
Offline for sure, a lot.
Yeah. According to my friend Melissa, take this offline is code for fuck's sake, stop bringing things up that aren't on the agenda.
Yeah, that is... It's actually, for me, it's less that and more, there are people on this call that what you brought up has nothing to do with them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not so much the agenda person. I guess it's technically the agenda.
So they're saying, be more specific and say, I'll give you a call about this tomorrow. Like, be very specific instead of just saying, let's just touch base offline.
That's horseshit. Everybody knows what offline means. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
You could even do it 30 seconds later and go, okay, anyway. Your complaint was?
No, but I mean, you don't have to be all proper. You can just offline. There's nothing wrong with offline. As long as you're not saying it 87 times.
Word trash.
Yeah.
The next one is quote unquote just. She wants to ban the word just from their communications. I just want to check in. I'm just wondering if you can just give me an answer. I'm just following up.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know. I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe if you're overusing it, like I'm simply trying to is probably the ruder way of saying it.
Yeah, no.
And then being too general with, is there anything you need? Do you have any questions? Like they're saying that you should be very specific. Like, what do you think about X might be a more specific way of encouraging someone to talk.
Yeah, like in a meeting environment.
When you have like a Zoom meeting or something and there's a lot of people. Because anything else means overwhelmingly, I don't know. No.
Well, yeah, I do that a lot in training. I will call on people to make sure they're engaged instead of just having, are there any questions? I would say, do
you have any questions about this specific thing that I said?
It's like
a pop quiz.
Joe, you have a blank stare.
And then also on that vein, how's everything? I've never used that.
How's everything?
Yeah, like how's everything going?
I don't know
how everything is.
With maybe the exception of immediate family, I'm not sure I want to know the answer to that question from anyone else.
Well, you're really opening up yourself to a very long discussion about something that you really have no interest in.
Correct.
This one you are guilty of for sure.
Okay.
If I'm honest, can I be honest? I'm not going to lie.
Actually, I'm going to say that you are way more guilty of that than
I'm not saying I'm not, but I'm accusing you of it right now.
Yeah, I have said it, but I actually catch myself more often than not.
To be honest or honestly?
Yeah,
honestly.
Because, well,
I could start saying truthishly.
Truthishly. Actually, for me...
I don't say for me,
No. I try to avoid
really
honestly because the reason you don't use it is because it gives off the idea that
you lie.
Unless you say that you're not being honest.
Well, I've heard you go, well, if I'm being honest, which I'm always being honest.
Yeah, because I catch myself doing the crutch.
Yes.
Right? Like, because I had read that before, not on this article, but I had read that before that if you're going honestly or to be honest, it's like, I know what you're trying to do is, it's not that you lie, you're trying to put emphasis on what you're about to say.
This is very real, what I'm about to tell you.
Correct.
Yes.
But saying like, okay, well, wait, because you could totally catch somebody on that. If you said to me, I would never do this to you. Say, if somebody said to me to be honest, like, you mean like the other 6 times you've talked to me, were you not being honest?
It says, in other words, hold on, I'm about to stop lying and tell you something.
Exactly right.
That makes me laugh, but there's no, it just says don't say it. There's no alternative. This one is funny. Amazing or awesome. Okay. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
on the way back from this.
That's so awesome. That's a West Coast thing. There is no way people on the East Coast are walking around going, "Oh, that's awesome."
I was listening to NPR's Marketplace on the way back from the store, and they were interviewing the social media coordinator from Duolingo.
Okay.
And she is extremely Gen Z.
Okay.
Extremely Gen Z. In fact, the interviewer probably wasn't that much older than her either.
You know what? I've heard that interviewer, and I went, okay, I'm getting old.
Yeah. No, right.
Because
there was a lot of totally.
Yeah.
And the first thing she said on her answer, so the interviewer, who was a little more polished, would ask a question. They would say, well, I mean, you know, what's the next trend in social media? And she would go, yeah. So like every single answer started out with
verbal crutches.
Yeah. And now some of it is you're doing this, you're not face to face.
It's casual,
right?
And
So you rely a little bit more on crutches than maybe normal because there's no facial cue, there's no nothing. Anyway, but it was enough to where I noticed because she kept saying yeah right before she would answer any other question.
I hate that I notice it. That's the thing is I hate that I notice it. I also
found it interesting that I guess they did something that went very viral on TikTok. It was her idea, and it's just gone very viral with Duolingo, but which is why she got interviewed. But she made a comment of going. She's like, well, how do you work other social medias? And she's like, well, I just like to think of it like TikTok is my best friend, Instagram is a colleague, and Facebook is my grandma. Okay. That's what she said. No, and she's not wrong.
No, that's 100% correct.
No, she's not wrong. But anyway, her answering every question with, yeah. I'm like, it wasn't a yes, no question. Stop saying yeah.
And the other one is don't say always and never. So it's like, when you tell your partner, you always make stupid comments. You're lying. You're lying. That's not true. They don't always make stupid comments.
100%.
Do they? Or they never say anything?
That's my new crutch, and that's probably Bert's fault.
You know what? It is so true.
100%.
It is so true. He said it today. I heard him today.
Many times.
And he's like, 100%. The last one... In the professional world, I can't imagine that this would be appropriate. I guess if you're a Gen Z, you could probably get away with it. But, you know, when you're older, people go, what are you doing? Are you dating someone too young for you? But it's to say slay or killing it, savage, or I was literally dying.
Oh, my God.
I say every single one of those things. Every single one. I'm like, all right, well, I'm unprofessional apparently because I say it all the time. Someone posts a picture and they look really hot and I'm like, slayed. And I'm like, I guess I'm not supposed to use those words. Apparently I'm an embarrassment to society now. So
I feel like that would
new. There's nothing
or
new.
Like lost in translation with the majority of the people on the other end. But.
You know what? I don't know. I'm just really
podcast cat number 2 is done with us.
Podcast cat. Yeah. We have 2 podcast cats.
Well, this because it was the extra room.
This was their room.
With a bed in it.
They're like, we live here.
This is the cat room.
I'm just wondering if we should start an Instagram account for the podcast cats.
Like Cats of Disneyland, but Cats of Podcasts.
If Nacho Flay can have 10,000 followers.
Whatever works.
Baxter the podcast cat. We're going to have to come up with a better name. That's a mouthful. I don't like it. We got to come up with something else.
Yeah.
Ugly cats.
Oh, nice. Like it.
Behold our ugly cats.
Ugly cats.
Oh, God. That's hilarious. Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have an awkward moment today, so we should probably do our ugly and awkward moments of the week. Okay. So I have 2, but I'm going to save one for next time. My first one is it's mostly denial, but it's also an awkward moment because so we went, and we didn't really even talk about this. We can talk about it at the end if you want to. We went to see Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yes.
And we were one of like 12 people in there, and we were eating popcorn like we had never eaten popcorn before for some reason. Both of us were just like...
Because we didn't have food.
Yeah, I think
we went to a late movie.
We went late and hadn't eaten dinner. Yeah. And so we were almost fighting over the popcorn. Like, I'm like, finally, I just took the bag from you because I'm like, just give me the fucking popcorn. I want more than what I'm getting allotted, and I want it. And normally you'll give it up, but you weren't. You were putting your big old mitten there, and I'm like, okay. So I was voraciously stealing as many kernels as I could get and putting them in my mouth because I'm like, I'm not even going to get any if I don't fight for it. So I swallowed a piece of popcorn. I chewed and swallowed a piece of popcorn like a normal person, but I felt like I swallowed it funny and I scratched my throat. And I was like, God damn it. All right, calm down with the popcorn. Enough with the popcorn. So I gave you the rest. I stopped eating it, drank all my water, and we watched the movie and it was great.
Yep.
Go home and my throat still hurts. And I'm like, God, So I foolishly posted on Facebook that I awkwardly swallowed a piece of popcorn. And now I'm sure I keep convincing myself that it's COVID and it's not. I just scratched my throat.
Oh.
Next day, COVID.
It was
COVID.
Oh my
so
God.
I deleted the post.
Oh,
Immediately
no.
deleted it. I was like, oh, it wasn't a scratched popcorn throat.
Well, your throat may have been sensitive and
It
the
was
kernel
sore.
aggravated it, but didn't cause
I literally started getting symptoms at Spider-Man. I started getting a sore throat and I didn't realize that it was COVID because we've literally not gotten anything in 2.5 years. So I thought, oh yeah, well,
I mean, so careful.
Right. Not to make it full circle, but didn't expect it. And so, I was
you deleted the post.
I was really embarrassed because all I could think about were all those people who have
you didn't
said
want to
in
be
the
on
past.
the Karen Reddit.
I did not.
Or what is
I
that
did
one?
not. Oh, on the Herman Cain?
Yeah, that's different, but
I mean, I literally was like, oh my God, I sound like all those other fools who go, oh, it's just a cold. Oh, I screamed too loud or something like that. And it wasn't. And I was like, I'm so dumb. I am such a dummy. And so I just deleted it immediately and went, did I post it anywhere else? Because that's one of the reasons why I didn't tell anybody I had it. I didn't say anything on social media.
No.
I wanted to save it for the show. I wanted it to be dramatic.
The big reveal.
I wanted it to be the season arc, the story arc of 2022. We're kicking it off with COVID.
I did not think that would be your awkward moment.
Well, the other one I'm saving.
Oh, you're saving.
You know what? I don't have to save it. I can just say
Saving for what?
Next show?
Why next show? Because you stockpile them?
I have enough of them that I can do that.
Fair enough. I do not have one, so you can have mine.
Fine. So the last time Stephanie and I recorded, the show quality was not ideal.
The audio
did not sound as good as we are comfortable with. And we almost scrapped it. We almost were just not going to have a show but the show was funny and I didn't want to lose it because even though the audio wasn't great, I'm like, well, it was a good show.
Yeah. And we hadn't done a show because of the holidays in a while.
Yeah, we were coming back from a break and all of that. So Stephanie and I struggled for a good 45 minutes trying to get the audio to work and I couldn't figure it out. Finally, we were able to get it to record, but it was just not very quality and we couldn't figure it out. So I thought my computer was dying. I thought my microphone, my old microphone was dying. It was a Yeti. And so I thought, well, it's time to, if we're going to continue playing podcasts, we need to get real equipment. This is dumb.
It did kind of spur that.
It did. And so I go in to clean everything up, really dejected and bummed because we haven't had a bad quality podcast. And I'm very sensitive to it because the first time we recorded ever, 9 years ago, I posted it, had quite a few people listen that weren't family members. And somehow it got on some kind of forum in another podcast that I listened to, the TMOS podcast group. And somebody said, hey, has anybody listened to The Ugly Truth? Because we were also fans of the Michael Mara show at the time. I am still, but back then it was like way into it because it was new. And they said, yeah, it's unlistenable. The quality is horrible. You can't even, they pop their P's. It's awful overmodulated, blah, blah, blah. And I was so embarrassed and mortified. I'm like, okay, well,
we fixed that by episode 2.
Unacceptable.
We absolutely fixed it.
And that is why, because I said, if we're going to do this, we have to do this correctly. We're not going to, So I'm always so sensitive about it. I know it's not, we're not Howard Stern or anything, but I wanted the quality to be okay.
Yep.
So when I was literally sick to my stomach. So I said, well, we're not recording another show until we get this right. I go upstairs to clean everything up. And God damn it, if I hadn't accidentally pulled a cord out.
You would unplug the mic.
I'd unplug the mic.
So the only reason you could hear yourself at all is because there's a mic on the laptop that you record on.
The laptop picked up our voice because we're so goddamn loud. And the mic wasn't even working because I had accidentally unplugged it. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Really? This is it. This is it. This is how I die.
this is how I die.
That's going to be it. It's going to be some stupid fucking thing that's going to kill me. It's going to be like, well, no, she lived a great life and then she forgot to unplug something and died. Or unplug something and died. They'll be like, what happened? She unplugged her heart monitor. We don't know. You know? It's going to be something like that. That's going to be the death of me. Hopefully when I'm 95. But I couldn't believe I felt like an idiot. But that's the kind of shit that I do all day. All day, son.
Oh. Is your sister going to be back next time, you think?
Yeah. Well, are you hopeful?
Yeah, I
You don't want to do this anymore?
No, actually, it's kind of cool that we were the first to do it in this studio with this equipment. So a good test. And so,
can you imagine the two of us trying to make all this work for the first time?
I might sit in on that first show.
I think you might have to.
So we can run the board.
It might be appropriate for you to do that, just so that we actually get something done.
In between cocktails, we'll bring cocktail of the week back.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We might want to be sober until we really know what we're doing, because this stuff it's not difficult, but I mean, I will say we were setting this up. You have been setting this up for a day and a half or so.
Yeah.
And I'm coming nowhere near it because you are like how a lot of boys get when they're setting up their new toys, and you don't want anyone bothering you because you got it. And so I'm like, I'm already getting irritated. And so I don't want to be around you right now because
when I was setting it up.
Yeah.
I was also getting a little frustrated because I didn't have everything I needed.
Yeah.
And I didn't, we bought this board a long time ago.
I know, but that splashes onto me.
Yeah, no.
So sorry. I'm like, no, you don't have to apologize. It's who you are. But it's just like when we were trying to paint the bathroom once, and I'm like, I don't want to do this with you anymore. Too many type A personalities in the room at once. So we're just going to let you do you, boo. And you just tell me to sit and press this button.
Well, the record button couldn't be any bigger.
I mean, it's obvious.
It's a solid 2 square inches. Anyway.
Well, once I grill it up, I'll take a picture.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But I mean, it's still very simple.
I think it'd be cool to get, we might get a little sound stuff. It'd be cool to put some, cool Ugly Truth sign up or something. Or
we got to make a sign. I was thinking about redoing our logo, but I don't know.
I love it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
I like it too. The only other thing I was going to ask you about is, how are you liking The Witcher? We only have 1 episode left.
Oh, I like it. It's
The Witcher on Netflix. We have 1 more. And I
have definitely seen worse video game based things.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, Henry Cavill is very attractive to look at. He's great. And his love interest is very beautiful as well, Yennefer. But I don't know anything about the Witcher video game. Nothing.
Well, you can, it's pretty cheap now because it's so old. You can buy them now, but I think they were really going based on just the characters. Yeah. They're not trying to follow the storyline of the game or anything like that.
I wouldn't know either way. It's just, I have no idea.
Dude kills monsters, looks like this. Lots
and he
of
drinks
witches.
A potion and becomes more monstery.
Right.
Yeah. But I think
I will say the one thing the warning at the beginning, and it'll say like,
oh, right,
nudity, language, whatever. I'm always very disappointed by the amounts.
There's no nudity
of those things. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It'll say nudity, and then there won't be any.
Curious. There is gore.
Yeah, there was gore, which I enjoyed. And even the language is very limited. Like, I understand that if there's any, they have to put something, but it's like,
does it?
Was the monster nude? Because I didn't see any butt or tit.
There is no boob or butt. It's
I have not seen any. And even if there is,
a male nip. I mean, there's very little.
I don't know.
Maybe it was because somebody an elf had a baby. I don't know. I'm not sure. No, I was wondering, I like horror. I love slasher films. Does it at all concern you that I laugh whenever someone gets decapitated or whenever there's some kind of incredible gore that's obviously not real?
No, because
I literally laugh. I laughed through Halloween. I laughed through the whole thing. I thought it was hilarious, but it's not supposed to be.
I don't know. I mean,
scary.
I think that the campy ones are meant to be a little over the top. They're not trying to be realistic.
That one in The Witcher, that one scene where all the knights got beheaded, and I am just rolling, laughing. Picks up the head and throws it. I'm just like, this is maybe because it's just so unrealistic that I think it's hilarious, but I don't think that was the intent. I think the intent is people are supposed to be, why are our children like literally inundating us? We can't have anything nice. Did we not raise them well? They're independent women and men.
We've been called by 2 of them and Snapchatted by all of them at the time we did this show.
This is like when I'm showering. When I get in the shower, you can guarantee that there will be a phone call, a text, many Snapchats, someone at the door, dogs getting in a fight, cats pooping somewhere. Endless.
It's almost like the light goes on everybody's mobile device when you get in the shower.
Okay, everyone who is a mother knows this rule. Yeah. You want to be alone and you plan it, you will never be alone. It won't happen. Yep. I've been seeing a lot of TikToks because, I'm obsessed with TikTok, where women are like, I wanted to be by myself and I took a bath. So she's in her bath and there's her husband at the door with his phone and music playing because he just won't give her any. He just wants to be with her. He wants to be in there with her because it's fun. Like, yeah, what girls do is fun, actually. That's why many boys want to be around them, especially if they're dating them or seeing them naked. Like, if you're in the bathtub, can I be in there?
Especially that second part. That one is important.
Weirdo.
Yes.
Anyway, all right. Well, I think that's the show.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see.
Guess we'll find out if it recorded.
The Giants recording. Things are moving.
Everything says so. Hopefully these new microphones worked and you don't hear me cackling in your...
What's this button do? Oh, applause. Hey, good show, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming to my show.
Peace out.
Bye. Bye.